We're live, Kiwi.
We're live.
We're live.
Hey,
And look, nobody's here.
nobody's-
See,
they all fell asleep and went home. We're late, 7:18.
we are, right? That's it. Is that what time it is?
Yeah.
Oh, God, time flies when you're standing
shit.
a Dodge Charger.
Yeah.
Biggest mistake I've ever made in my life.
Uh,
Let me move that camera a little bit. How's that? Oh, that's much better. Frank Irmo, what's going on, man? James Elliott, Fubar.
Uber.
Mitten Made Muscle,
Uncle Moose.
Uncle Moose. So what's happening, guys? I have no fingerprints left. All gone. All gone. I have no feeling. I'm numb from the.
When your fingertips actually start bleeding, that's when you know you've done a lot of sand.
Dude, this is hell. This is seriously. This is hell.
Waterboarding somewhere.
Ah, please. I should have stuck to my original plan. Home building submarines, mini subs.
Ones that you ride on the outside of.
Let's see. Jason Fitch, Dodge Boy 5150. What's happening? Robert Schubert. Listen. So, Feral CJ7, the Highlander. Good job on the setting. No, it's not a good job. You've got to actually see it to appreciate it. It's a bad job. I'm doing a very bad job. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm not qualified to do this.
Hey, Rocky. Who else have we got on the Uncle Moose? Good job on the sand.
Joseph Petrucci, is there a better way to spend a Thursday night than with a couple of beers watching Uncle T? Bro, at this stage, I'd be ready to drop acid in mainline. You know what I'm saying? It's like
I'd rather have a beer in my hand than a can of Iveco Body Shop.
Isn't that
Body
nice?
filler.
Louis Nuccio, Uncle Tony, I have a lot of rust work on a 96 Bronco. Are those Harbor Freight welders worth it? Not according to him. I think they are. I love the damn things, but he thinks I'm a fool. He's smart.
If you're going to do body work, you really need what I call a proper MIG welder, not the gasless ones. Honestly, I think the best bang for your buck is the Eastwood one. They're about 300, 330 for the 130 amp. Great little welders, ideal for body work, sheet metal. You will have to buy yourself a bottle of gas. But the wire's cheaper that way. You can get a 10-pound roll of wire and away you go.
Jason Fitch says, try watching after a heroic dose of mushrooms.
Heroic dose.
We will, man. All right. Robert Schubert, Tony, your true inspiration in a hot rod world that's slipping away. Thank you for you just. Well, thank you, man. It's not slipping away. It's not slipping away. We're all here. It's getting bigger. Our culture is getting bigger. Believe me. Wabanaki, Dornland people, Macau Indian warrior. I love the internet. I really do. What grit paper are you block sanding with, Tony? Have you tried wet sanding with it? I've been blocking with the wrong grit. With the wrong grit,
which it's very helpful information I supplied him after the fact. Sorry about that, Tony.
You don't know.
So Tony's laid a whole lot of high build primer down and then been trying to block sand it with 320. Yeah, that's a long, hard job. Typically, I'll put a couple of gallons of high build primer on, like really thick, and hit it with 80 grit, then go to probably 120, something like that, and then recoat it.
Dude, more or less, I'm trying to grind down a diamond using a sock. Okay,
this is a pretty good analogy. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I'm going to get him on the straight and narrow. We'll get him some coarser grit, and you at least got to start cutting the texture out of the primer with something a bit coarser. 320. You're there all day, and well, not all day. You're there all week. Especially on something as big as the Charger. That thing's a boat.
It's huge. Paul Cabazzola, looking at a Hobart 140 MIG welder. What are your thoughts on this machine?
Hobart one. That's a good machine. Yep, that's a good machine, the Hobart. Yeah, I've used those before. They're good. They're a little bit pricier, but they are good.
Jason Fitch, Kiwi, feel like a cosmetic dentist walking in a Mexican chomper shop.
Well, that would be one way of putting it, yes. Kiwi and the Bunny Slayer Tony.
Listen, I deserve abuse. I mean, it's that simple. I have earned the abuse. Just send it my way. Remaining Slane 6, what's happening? Mitchell Russell's stepped in. Shep's Plastic Body Shop. Will you ever do an altered wheelbase on this channel? Probably not. Probably not. It's really involved for no good gains. That was something it worked in its day. Well, back when they were using 8-inch wide tires on just like bare no glue surface, on no prep really. Those days are long gone. There's really no purpose to it. We've already built a car that doesn't have any modern purpose with Slaghammer, so I don't want to have a bunch of them like that. One is cool. One freak show is enough.
Lost Cadaver just bought a 47 Fraser Manhattan. Man, I don't even know what that looks like. I'll have to look it up.
I don't either.
Running, driving, no body rot, 1,500 Canadian dollars. Well, what's that? About $8.73? That's not fair. No, that's good buying, but anything of that vintage, $1,500 doesn't get you much. That's good buying.
Jason Fisher, I bet if Cubans assembled that sub, they wouldn't be in this mess. Yeah, seriously, right? I mean, have you been paying attention to any of this stuff?
A little bit. I've been so slammed at work. I've not been much. Yeah.
So this is how I gather this. Okay.
Right.
So this guy decides he's gonna start a charter sub service to take people way down deep, right?
Oh, they've lost some people down by the Titanic, haven't they?
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I heard about it. Yeah.
So he starts this company, okay, and his mission statement. I saw the interview. I saw him say this on TV. Okay, I saw him say this on TV. That he didn't want any 50-year-old white guys working on this thing.
Well, luckily, I don't fit that description.
You can't make this stuff up, right? He wanted to have a broader, more diverse thing. So he builds this miniature sub, right? Like it's a home-built mini sub. Like it's almost as if you decided, hey, let's build a submarine.
Okay. Weld up the windows on the Charger.
Wait. He trains a 22-year-old girl to operate this thing with a game controller.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And then they're going to go down 2.5 miles.
Once. The Titanic went down 2.5 miles. Once.
No. Mr. Darwin just sat back and laughed and laughed. Rich men playing stupid games. Zero put up the link to Kiwi's channel.
Hey, Zero. Thanks,
yes.
man.
If it's important to what?
Rick Grieve wanted to know if you're going to power your submarine with a slant 6.
It'd probably do better. I mean, what can I say? The holes, instead the 50-year-old white guys wind up on a rescue crew looking for the wreckage. How does that work? Well, somebody's got to try to bail them out, right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Okay. Mr. Briggs, I could never sand a whole car now. My hands lock up and cramp. Any workaround suggestions? Yeah, air tools, man. Get yourself some DAs. There's various sizes and various, they measure them in like 1/4 of an inch, 5/16, 3/8 the throw, how much they, orbital. And those, get yourself some of those in a nice, like when you're trying to do shapes and the busy shapes in the panels, use about a 3/8 of an inch thick foam pad on there first, then your sanding disc, and that'll allow you to sand around some of those shapes that you can't get with a hard block. The vibration's probably going to get your hands a bit too, though, but to be honest, after a day with the orbitals on, like the hands tingle.
My hands are numb. I have no feeling.
The other good fix is pay someone else to do it.
Yes. Yes. I'm learning lessons over and over again. I learn these lessons. 74 Charger UT. When do you plan on installing AC on the Charger? What brand will you use? I've got So it's got the evaporator is in it, and all the AC stuff is underneath the dashboard. I've got a good V2 compressor, but I don't have the brackets for 440. The brackets for 440 is different than brackets for 383, just so you know. And I need a condenser for it, and I need a dryer bottle, and I have Actually, hanging up there on the wall, I've got my my expansion valve. So I don't know, probably before the end of the summer, right just when the cool weather kicks in, I'll have the AC up and running on that car.
Oh, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
What is the best classic car and why is it the Gen 1 Mustang? Over to
Yeah.
you, Tony.
You know, because they're beautiful, they're relatively cheap, they're easy to work with, they're light, they're versatile.
I think he's sucking up, guys. I think he wants me to come and sand on his car.
Well, yes. No. I like. You had that one that was sitting out front, and I was like, I felt I had to try to save it.
Right, that blue one, yeah,
The blue one, right? No, I have nothing against those cars at all. I think they're beautiful, but they're not Chrysler. I'm weird like that. Okay, I'm weird like that. Just I took one. I'm not even gonna go there. But yeah, they're great cars. Zero. PK, how's it going? That dog won't hunt. Oh, he's talking to somebody else. Let's see.
Ultra Kathy. Is it meant to be Ultra? Is that her new nickname now? Ultra Kathy?
It bounces around between Uncle Kathy and Ultra Kathy. Yeah.
I see.
So Zero just put up the link
There
to
you go.
KIWI's channel.
Mustang.
Yeah.
All Mustangs. Well,
Yeah. And it's important that you subscribe to KIWI. I can't stress to you how important it is for your own personal growth and spiritual enlightenment to be a subscriber to KIWI's channel. There are hidden messages in all of his videos that'll bring you to the next level. It's like a meditation thing. What do they call that? Mind control. It's all in there. It's all in there.
Is 4 psi fuel pressure too low for an Edelbrock 1916 car?
Yes.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I would say 5. You really want to keep your fuel pressure between no lower than 5, no higher than 6 on those. Subliminal, yes.
Subliminal. KIWI also has some great cupcake recipes peppered throughout.
Yes, and they're
That's
subliminal.
Mrs. KIWI. She
Right.
sneaks them in. She's a good cupcake maker.
How is Mari?
Mari, she's good. She's
Did I
good.
pronounce the name right this time?
You did.
Mari.
Well done. Yes.
Yes.
Very
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
And oh look, there she is.
Oh, there she is.
There she is.
Hey, Mari.
What was his hidden message, Tony, when he tried to be a Kiwi Bong? Did you see that one?
No.
I did a short. I mean, we're just goofing around. We had a Mustang, and the door wasn't locking properly, so I was messing with it and got it to lock, and it would lock. But if you dumped the door, like a good whack, the door lock would pop up and unlock itself. So I just did the made it foot short.
That's what these old mopars are.
Yeah, they do that?
Yeah, the button sticks.
Yes, yeah, the button wasn't sticking. That was all doing what it was, like pushing in and bouncing out.
Okay.
So it was locking, but all you had to do was give it a sharp crack on the door, and the actual little button would pop up.
See, on these things, the button, you open the door, the button sticks in, and you go like that.
Yeah,
and it pops back out again.
Right.
Let's see. Chris, hi, Uncle and KIWI. When replacing inner rockers, should the car be braced?
What sort of car? Where am I looking at? Where does that go?
Well, I imagine you're talking about a unibody car where the rocker is the frame.
And replacing the inner rockers. Yeah, inner rockers, if it's a car that has inner rockers, then I've done it before without bracing them up. I quite like I've done a couple of convertibles, Mustangs, where you cut the inner rocker out, and you have to because they've rotted away. But I'll set them up on on stands, like about 6 stands, and they're real flexible. So you jack them around and you get on. It takes a little while, a little bit of setting up, but get it at a level where the doors are opening nice. Yeah, so the thing's when in its happy place, and start cutting, and the car will move, and then you can just jack it and move around a little bit, and shim an axle stand here and there to get it back to where it's just come from, and then the telltale is the doors. If the doors continue to open and close correctly, then you're straight, you're golden. But once you put a bunch of bracing in, it makes life quite hard to get at those inner rockers. They take a bit of getting out. So
Brandon Stevens wants to know, any good tips on doing cab corners and rockers on a square body Chevy? I think they're all pretty much the same, though.
I mean, it is similar. You know,
Cab corner is a cab corner.
Cab corner is a cab corner. There's little variances between the brands. My best tip, honestly, would be don't cheap out on the replacement panels. Get the best ones you can get. You know, some of the stuff's very cheap and it's very bad. You know, the more expensive stuff typically a little thicker and it's a little more accurate, and you won't spend as much time chasing your tail, you know, to save $25 on a cab corner. You know, one that's either 25 or 50, get the $50 one. And you know, if it's actually not any better, and that does happen sometimes, well, you've blown $25. Yeah, but that usually you get what you pay for.
Eat more coleslaw. No. I'm really interested in Unc Tony's feelings when Pagan Leggins showed up. I'm surprised you. What a great video. I had no idea who it was, man. I had never seen him, you know, in the flesh.
Who's Pagan Leggins?
Zip ties and buy his place. You call him Peg Leg. He's got one leg.
Oh, well, yeah, okay.
So he shoots his videos. What happened was he had a bunch of like gay guys and stuff that were watching his videos, and like they were like into him. So he freaked out. He got a little freaked out. So he only shows his hands now. And whenever he shows his head, he wears like a horse head mask, right?
Really?
So he shows up in my driveway. He's in my driveway talking to Kathy, right? And Kathy introduces him as one of our new neighbors. So he got you good. He had me go. They both had me going for like a few minutes, you know.
Oh, that's good.
What's going on, Chris Freemesser? Brett McIntyre. Hey, Kiwi twins.
Kiwi twins.
Rhett Grieve. Tony, do you have any Gen 2 Hemi valve covers I can buy you, please? Bro, I got rid of all of my 426 Hemi stuff like 6 months ago, a year ago. I just got rid of everything. I'm just done with those engines, and I don't want to deal with them anymore.
That's curious. Ron Watts changed a water pump on a 65 Mustang. Now idles all over the place and won't start, or when it does, have to keep the RPM over 1,000 minute stalls. A water pump shouldn't do that.
Not with well, okay. Is it still a carbureted engine, or did you put one of them aftermarket EFI systems on it?
That's odd.
Tom Houghton, I'm excited for mule content. So am I. I've been wanting to do this for a while. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I need a car that's really versatile that we could do all of this stuff to, and that's going to be the one.
Mike Brooker, Kiwi, hammer and sandbag or spooned out log, or maybe both. I'm a fan of the hammer and sandbag, but you've got to have a decent size one, which is surprisingly hard to find these days.
I like to slam my man bits against it.
Pardon? We still talking about sandbags?
Never mind.
What's the tech talk subject today? Bodywork and priming and painting and all that kind of.
Yeah, well, we can talk about anything, but
yeah.
But that seems to be like the project du jour, and I'm in the middle of bodywork hell, so. Tom, what's the message with a modern Xbox controlled sub, please? You know, here's what I think is the sad part about all of this. Okay, so you got these really rich people and really stupid people, a combination of the two. Okay, you've got some very rich, very stupid people who did a stupid thing and bought the farm, right? And the whole media, everybody's making this big freaking deal over it. In the meantime, every single day, there's people coming across, trying to get into this, immigrants, right? Trying to get into this country. There's little kids getting eaten by alligators and drowning, and nobody pays any attention to any of that stuff. But this thing is all over the news, and it's everybody's.
Steve, any advice on dealing with a reticent machine shop? Got a DeSoto engine in there and haven't touched it in over a year. Over a year, yeah, I'd just be going and picking it up.
Yeah.
I'd say there's a small chance they may have lost some pieces out of it after that long. And maybe that's what's put it in the too hard basket. But yeah, that's no good. You got to do something, but you got to just like go and tell them you want it back and see what they say. That might wake them up. But you got to do something. That's, if you don't do something, it's going to be there in 2 years' time.
Yep.
5.9 Magnum for a 94 Ram. Any suggestions for power or things to watch out for? Still using the EFI from 94.
No, I mean it's a straightforward swap. I mean I don't know how much power you want out of the thing, but I mean I would just ask that questions in forums, man. That's I can't. Neither of us are going to give you any specific recommendations for that combination that are going to be valid. But if you hit the forums, people will give you. I mean, just opinions from one end of the planet to the other, and every possible conceivable thing you can do to that, you're going to find in there.
Zero went back to Ron Watts about that water pump. He's wondering if it if it spins.
Well, it'd be a pretty weak engine if it allowed the fan, the water pump, like a seized water pump. You'd think it would slip the belt or break the belt. Well, let's put it this way: if a locked up water pump caused the motor to stop, the motor's got a lot more problems than a locked up water pump.
Tavo, hey man, how you doing? You got a roof swap to do on a Valiant sedan. Yeah, either that or try to weld up the sunroof. Neither way is a simple job. Just getting the old roof skin off the donor car is, just that's a challenge. But making the roof whole again after a sunroof in it like that really screws up the roof skin, putting sunroofs in them. When such a big flat piece of metal, once you try and weld up something that's 30 inches by 15 inches, it just wants to weigh big time. Actually, a buddy of mine years ago had a Bedford truck, which Tavo probably knows what that is, but it's like an old Chevy truck, and he welded a piece of sheet metal into the sunroof hole and started bondoing it, and he'd sand it, and it was too low, so he'd put more Bondo in, and he'd sand it. It was too low. Put more Bondo in it. It was too low.
Right.
And the heat from the Bondo, as the Bondo was curing, was actually making the roof sink.
Oh,
and he kind of looked inside, and it's like sagging. And he was so pissed off. He jumped in the truck. He kind of laid on the seats on his back and kicked the shit out of the inside of the roof. And like chunks of Bondo like this just went, just flew out. It was the funniest thing.
My '68 Roadrunner had it was rolled,
right,
and it had a big dent in the middle of so I tried working it out, and I'm not a metal guy, okay, but I watched tutorials on shrinking and doing all it, and I couldn't do anything with it, and I eventually made this mess that was just like a constant wave. So I got pissed off enough with it. I cut right through the middle of it. Took the two parts, the two halves that were like kind of, now they overlap each other, and then
getting rid of the
welded it back together again.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but it's usable now. It's doable now.
Right. Ooh, what was that? How do you sink a sub full of blondes? I don't know. How do you sink a sub full of blondes? I gotta be careful answering that one because I'm being
yeah, we
watched.
both have blondes.
Mari's not a blonde, you
She's
dingo.
not?
No.
What the hell is she then?
She's actually a redhead.
Oh, well,
that messes with her hair color occasionally.
Ew. But Fubar put the link. Fubar, thank you so much. Fubar put the link to our merch. So we got hats in the store, and we got the shirts, and I think Uncle Kathy's got a new shirt design coming, and KIWI doesn't have any merch, which makes us that much more professional than him in this respect.
Yeah. So the answer to the how do you
knock on the door?
You knock on the door of the blonde submarine. That's pretty funny. Hey, the other day 3 blondes walked into a building. You'd think one of them would have seen it.
Yes. She's a redhead.
Hey, don't mock the foreigner. That's not nice.
Somebody just asked if I ever messed with. You ever mess with old Datsun Z's way back? Yes, I had two 240s, and both of them were brown. And this was way back. This is like in the early 80s, the late 70s, the early 80s. And I never messed with them. I drove them and sold them.
Fox can fix it garage. Tony, I'm building a Chevy 283 mild build. Should I keep the rams, horns, exhaust manifolds, or get inch and 5/8 headers?
If you're going for mileage build, I would go with the headers.
Mile build, yeah. Sorry, I thought you said mild. Yeah.
Well, geez, well, okay. So I don't know. Maybe it's a misprint.
Yeah.
So either way, exhaust manifolds have their place. If you're looking for a quiet car, you know what I mean, something that's not going to take any, you don't have to worry about bolts loosening up and stuff like that, and gaskets leaking. Then yeah, the exhaust, nothing wrong with the exhaust manifolds. But
it's pretty effective, those rams ones.
They
Especially
are.
if you can get a bigger one. There's different sizes.
Yeah.
So if you can get the hypo type,
but
they have hypo Ford exhaust manifolds, and they do. I'm not sure what they call it on the GM, but it's like a Ford hypo Rams horn.
They flow, but there's no individual scavenging effect.
No.
So that's the thing. The scavenging is only through the main pipe.
Right.
Right. So you miss out on the scavenging, and even on a gas mileage build, the scavenging is important. But you can really flip a coin. I like exhaust manifolds on certain cars.
New Beginnings Homestead. Just the guys I need to see. I found a rust hole and some kind of stiffener on the driver's side inner wheel well, directly under the driver's side inner fender. What's the best way to repair that?
Some kind of stiffener on the driver's side. What kind of car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would help.
Yeah, the type of car would help.
But strictly speaking, I mean, you've got to access it, get to it and cut it all out, and use the similar gauge, not similar, really the same or thicker gauge metal to weld it back in there. But yeah, it's got a lot. Knowing the car would help. But
David says, my mom told me fuel injection is better than a carburetor. Okay.
Someone was just asking me if I'm the same Kiwi that works on the Indian motorcycles. No, I'm not. He's out California way. I know him a little. I haven't actually met him, but I've spoken to him on several occasions. He does quite a bit of work for Mike Wolf off American Pickers, and that's kind of how I got to meet him. Good dude though. He's clever. Like he casts his own crankcases and stuff like that for old Indian engines.
Yeah, I've seen.
That's takes a little bit of doing.
Let's see. Diesel power, does Bondo and old paint kill you?
Depends how much of it you eat.
Yeah, and I would definitely enjoy. I would definitely avoid mainlining it, either Bondo or paint. You know what I'm saying? It's like
look, paint or neither of them are good for you. And if you're sanding a lot of it, sanding it off, you really do need to wear a mask or a respirator of some kind. Because if you're doing it a lot, it's going to catch up with you.
If it hits you in the head, yes, it could definitely hurt you. The cans can hurt.
Chris Freemason, Bondo and paint make me the welder I ain't. Well,
that's me. Let's see. Is there heavy metal in old paint? You mean like lead? House paint, yes. I don't know about it. Did they ever use lead in automotive paint?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Yeah,
But they, even as a young guy, that like lead in paint was a no-no. Like back in the 80s. in the 70s even. That was kind of well known then, so pretty sure it was. It may have been used in automotive at some point, quite possibly. I'm just not aware of it. Certainly hasn't been used in my time painting cars.
I remember when the big thing was they had to take lead out of paint because they found that little kids were eating paint chips.
Yeah.
And it was, you
Yeah.
got to be really hungry. You got to be really hungry. You got to be, because I was a little kid. I never thought about eating paint chips.
Kids just like chewing on. Little ones like just chewing on stuff.
And that's why they took the lead out of gas.
Well, presumably to make it cleaner.
Well, they did and they were studying IQ.
Right.
Psychologists were studying IQ, and they found that kids that had grown up in areas in high traffic areas, right, where there's a lot of cars, a lot of traffic, a lot of stop and go, had on average lower IQs than kids that grew up, let's say, blocks away from there that weren't subjected to that, and they attributed that to the lead that was in the gasoline from the fumes that they were breathing in.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly a lot cleaner these days.
Mike Jones, UTG, interesting for the slant diesel. Any idea when Mopar didn't put them in 77, 78 pickup trucks instead of the junk Mitsubishi source diesel? I don't know. They had them running around. They had them running around on the proving grounds. And like I said, if you go online and search, somebody published all of the engineering papers from the diesel slant with illustrations and how they ran the injector pump and everything. Why? I don't know. I don't know what the failure point was on them.
Eat more coleslaw. Do Kiwis get offended when their accent is mistaken for South African? Serious question. Look, I mean, I've been asked if I'm South African. I've been asked if I'm Australian, and I've been asked if I'm British. And there is a rivalry between the Aussies and Kiwis, and they, there's a little bit of resistance to that. Okay. Like if people, you sound like an Aussie, it's like, and so but that's that Aussie kind of love-hate thing, which is, is essentially fairly light-hearted. It's a serious sporting rivalry. It's like, ice hockey and the Canadians, in America. It's kind of like that. I mean, some people are going to get all offended and get all butthurt, and that's just the type of person they are. It's not what all Kiwis are like. Crash Roadrunner Garage commercials. Doesn't like the commercials. Someone has to pay for his lavish lifestyle.
Yeah.
And hey,
the Grey Poupon. It's not cheap.
On his hot dogs.
No, on everything. I put it on everything. Pasta, you name it. Grey Poupon. Let's see. James Halloran, does New Zealand have anything like Bathurst Racing?
Bathurst Racing, well, that's Australian touring cars or supercars as they're now called. New Zealand has a smaller, like a cheaper class than that. Like New Zealand doesn't really have the economy or the population to support the Aussie touring cars, although they do come to New Zealand and race. But those Aussie super tourer cars, they are high tech and high dollar. And there's a few, there's a bunch of Kiwis driving in them, and there's a couple of Kiwis owned teams in the Aussie series. But yeah, those are amazing cars.
Diesel Power wants to know, what health issues do mechanics get and from what? So now we're two old mechanics, so I guess that's something we can kind of speak as authorities on.
Yeah, all right, I'm fine. No side effects at all. I don't know. Ask Mrs. Kiwi if she thinks I'm normal or not. Some days she does. Some days not so much.
Well, not just mentally, but I mean, physically. I mean,
it's hard work. Yeah, usually, gets to knees and
especially if you crash stuff.
Well, crash cars.
Yeah. I think just about all of my mechanic related injury ailments or from injuries. You know, like because just during the course of doing this stuff, you break bones and you do tear things and you make a mess out of yourself. But I mean, generally speaking, most mechanics I know that are our age are in better than average shape.
Yeah, there's just a few things you got to, and most of the mechanics know this. Like you're blowing out brakes, you know, out of brake drums. Like, don't breathe in. You know, like asbestos is in the brakes, or just the dust in brake. Any kind of brake.
If it doesn't kill you, it
good
makes
for
you stronger.
Well, that's the theory. But there's some things you just got to take a little bit of care with. You know, I think working with, you know, gas and solvents all the time does get to you at some point. It's like painters, though. Painters that have painted for, you know, for decades can be a little off.
Yeah, body men are strange. I've always said that. Body men, long-term body men are strange. Are strange. A lot of them have that 1,000-yard stare, you know.
Well, they've been sanding for 40 years. Like, you know, you're ready to jump on the outside of a submarine, you know, after one day.
Channel 2. What's up, Tony? Met you today at my shop. Is Alex from CPR? Alex from CPR. So, hey, anybody in Murfreesboro area that needs their phone repaired or their tablets or anything like that, Alex, give you some, put the address and everything in there. These guys are great. So today I didn't get to spend nearly as much time on the charger as I wanted to because my HVAC unit at the house went out. So I had to troubleshoot and do all of that stuff, and I ended up having a board where the relay for the fan had come out, and one of the pins had. So you can't get this stuff. I've been nursing this thing along for like 15 years. So I brought it over to there and I said, hey man, can you do this? Can you? And yeah, they hooked me up. So because I'm loud, I can't solder to save my life. So
Jolly Wrench, a KIWI is the Vortec 4200 L6 better than the Barra? I don't really know much about the Vortec 4200. It would have to be pretty good to be better than that Barra. That's a pretty darn good motor. But I can't give you an informed answer on that. Sorry.
There you go. CPR cell phone repair. 2441 Old Fort Parkway, Suite B. They're good guys. Let's see. Jane Schroeder. Hey, UT. Will an 833 4-speed out of a 68 Roadrunner work at my 72 CUDA, just different tail shift? Well, physically, it'll work. The transmission mount is in a different place. You got to deal with that. But mostly on the CUDA, right? The CUDA uses you have to change the tail shift if you're going to use it in an e-body. Because the 64 through 69 833 B-body trans has one shifter location. Then the 70 through 87 has two pads to mount the shifter. And the one of them that's at the back of the tail shift is the one for an e-body. So yeah, like the transmission itself, the body of the transmission, the ball pattern, the 23 spline, all that's going to be the same. But for the e-body, you're going to need the 70 and newer tail shift for it. And it's an easy thing to change.
Eat more coleslaw. Apparently I sounded like my knees are shot in my accent. It's interesting seeing it spelt the way it sounds because it doesn't sound like that to me. But okay. See, I don't think I have an accent. Well, I mean, I know I do, but I don't hear myself. You listen to all the different American accents, and it's like, you guys have got accents.
I don't have a freaking accent.
What about your car? Does your car have an accent?
That's Boston, man. I don't sound like I'm from Boston. Let's see. Tony and Kiwi broke YouTube. Coffee. I drink a lot of coffee. Have you seen how many coffee cups I have laying around this place? That pail right there is like literally full of coffee cups, and like they're stacked everywhere. It's like I've been living on coffee lately.
As long as you're not using it to repair the body, like the cups.
I couldn't make it worse, bro. I couldn't make it worse. Need Metal, thank you for the super chat. Yeah. I work as a mechanic in South Florida. It makes me look like Liza Minnelli with muscles. I drink over a gallon of water in the morning. I need water. We don't have any water in here. I should have stopped and got water.
No, you got no water?
I got no water.
Yeah.
But I got water out of the tap.
Water.
If you want that?
Water.
Water. Water.
Water. Fish and chips, Tava. Yes, fish and chips. I miss fish and chips, man. Nobody around Tennessee does good fish and chips.
Plain brown wrapper. Tony, I have a bone stock 383. I recently discovered that my 780 CFM 3110 Holly is too much for it. What CFM carb would you suggest for it? No, it's definitely not too much for it. There's something wrong with the carburetor. No, that 780 is like perfect for a 383. Dude, I have an 850 on my 318 over here, and it's right on the money. Giant Tony, ever drag nitro bikes? Funny you bring that up, because when I first moved down here to Tennessee, I said, you know, because I got rid of my fuel altered, I got rid of all my Hemi stuff, everything, right? And I came down here with a bunch of motorcycles, and I says, you know what? I'm tired of, I can't do the nitro on 4 wheels anymore, because it's just, that day is gone. I said, I'm going to build a nitro Harley. So I did. So I bought an old frame, and I built, there used to be, the AHDRA had a class called Pro Fuel that was carbureted Sportster engines on nitro. So I built this thing, and I got it running. I did a couple of chirpies in my driveway, and I says, no, I'm just not into it. I'm just done. I'm just done. So I got rid of the bike. I kept the starter, and just last week, this is after 20 years, last week I gave the starter to Dr. Art to put on a go-kart.
Kiwi, what would you look for in a mechanic working on modern cars? That's a good question. I have to say I wouldn't really be looking for a mechanic working on, that's a hard one to answer. What I have heard is a lot of the kids coming out of tech schools are a little bit over technically trained, like they understand a lot of. Yeah, there's a story. One a young guy came out of one of these trade schools. He went to work at the shop at the other end of my building, and he knew everything about 6 and 7 speed automatics, and could explain to you exactly how they worked and what pressure line went here, and why it did that and moved that. Took him a day and a half to get the transmission out. So that was a problem. Like he had the technical skills, but he didn't have the hands-on skills.
Book knowledge.
Book knowledge. And I mean, more and more today, you need computer knowledge if you're going to work on a modern car. If you can't drive a computer to diagnose it, you're in trouble. But you need some hands-on too. You need to know how to get a transmission out of a car, in a timely manner, and not necessarily by the book, but there's always little cheats and sneaks and
D-Truth, all in caps. Tony, how did your 400 Charger run 12s if you say Black Ghost Hemi car is a 14-second car? It was a Charger, it was a Roadrunner, and it was a stripper Roadrunner. Manual steering, manual brakes, very light car, 400 4-speed, 355 gear. And it didn't run 12s without some tweaking. It was stock. It was through the exhaust manifolds, through the full exhaust. But there was a lot of tuning that went into that car. Well, I'll tell you what, Barry Petard from the Mutt Brothers he guided me through a lot of stuff. Do this, don't do that, try this, try that, so on and so forth. And that's how that car ran the way it did. The dead stock, a 426 Hemi car, versus a good running wedge motor, good running wedge car. The wedge car is going to be quicker. And road tests from the day bear that out. Let's see. Paul Cavazzolo, theory and principle, but no practical experience.
But, that's did they do apprentices years back, years ago here?
Yeah.
What's happened to that? That was vital.
Yeah, I know. It's not anymore. That was, if you go back before schools, before trade schools and all this other shit, apprenticeship was the thing. You know what I mean? If you were a boy and you came of age, you were like 13, 14 years old, you would automatically go apprentice under somebody to learn whatever skill or trade. Completely gone.
Yeah, it's a real shame. It's like everyone's so focused, and the education system is so focused on getting into university and getting degrees, and it's like, yeah,
John,
someone has to repair the car that's driving you to university. Right.
in theory.
Yeah.
John, a question for both of you. What is the secret of Skinwalker Ranch?
What? Where? What's the secret of Skinwalker? I have no idea.
It has to have something to do with electromagnetic zones, crystals in the ground. I don't know. I don't know exactly, but
what is
it's an
Skinwalker
interdimensional thing for sure.
What is Skinwalker Ranch?
It's a place where a lot of things are seen, various like apparitions, the prehistoric things, UFOs, and the government actually purchased this place to set up a research area.
Right.
So it's been documented over and over again. These odd things that happen there, and there's lots of places throughout the world that have similar things that go on.
All right.
Terrence Seymour, I left school at 15 and walked straight into a diesel apprenticeship.
James E. Halloran, yes, New Zealand does have vintage Falcons, so what you're saying. Tiranas and Monaros, like Australia. Yes, those cars were all sold in both the countries. Man, I was out, I've got to put the video together. I was out in California the other weekend, and there was a guy there selling differentials and ratios and stuff like that. And parked beside his little booth was an A9X Tirana, which you Aussie guys listening will know what that is. That's a trick Tirana.
A9X.
A9X.
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to explain, but it's a very desirable
I'll look it up.
Tirana. It's a very desirable Tirana. And I just walked up, and he was an Aussie dude that lived in California, and he had a very colourful greeting for me when he heard my Kiwi accent. One that I can't use here, but it was funny.
Stevie B, Plan Z aborted. No, Plan Z is anything but aborted. I'm just switching it to a different platform and approaching it from a different angle because I've got to regroup. But no, it's not aborted at all. The chassis is going, or the old body is going someplace else. Plan Z is not aborted. David, what do you invest your money in? What do you invest your money in?
Me?
Yeah.
Property.
That's smart. I'm in gold and silver right now.
Yeah. Any advice putting a 69 Mustang shaker into my 76, which has a shaker hood? 76. Mate, it's doable. It's doable. You just got to want to do it. You just got to want to do it enough, and yeah, you can do it.
Operation RV. Okay, you're.
I'm up. I'm here. I'm ready.
Yep.
Yep.
Hey Tony, do you have a video on initial, total, and idle with vacuum timing? Your vid removing the heavy spring was. Yeah, dude, just search my channel and ignition timing, because I've done several videos about that.
The vape Kiwi shoe polish is the best shoe polish. You are correct, sir. Eat more coleslaw. You're picking on my accent tonight, man. Gee, what does he say here? Look how he's written that.
A9X Tirana. A9X Tirana. Okay.
There you go. I'm coming in for some special attention.
I like when he says, yeah. Okay. The Dougster is here. Whoops.
Yeah, you did it.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. Living life. I'm not a mechanic, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn and bought an Uncle Tony's Garage T-shirt. Good man. Definitely. He doesn't have any. He doesn't have an Uncle Tony's
nobody
Garage
goes.
T-shirt.
No,
he's too cheap to buy an Uncle Tony's Garage T-shirt.
I get given Uncle Tony's Garage stickers.
I've given you things.
I walked around the back of my truck oh, this was a few months ago, and here's this big round Uncle Tony's garage sticker over my tags, like
Your license
completely
plate.
blocking on the license plate, you know, the current registration and all that stuff. And I'm like, how long have I been driving around with that on there?
I figured maybe a cop, maybe a fan might, you know.
Maybe, yeah, or just wasn't and had no sense of humor and give me a ticket.
Oh yeah, that's possible too.
Where are the Uncle Kiwi t-shirts? They're all in here at the moment. I just got to translate them from here to here and pay for them and get them online.
David Bird, I got to get a UTG shirt. Well, Zero keeps posting, and Fubar keeps posting the links to my merch. So yeah, we got a whole page with like all kinds of merch, and we have like a new shirt coming out, I think. I don't know. I know nothing. I know nothing about Orgazon. It's Kathy does all of it, and she takes all the money, and it's just sad. It's sad. But no, we have a whole thing there.
See, Brett McIntyre, he's made a very valid comment there.
I never gave you a shirt. There we go. Fubar just put up a link to our merch so that Kathy can make some more money on it.
Fubar, so I can finally get one. Oh, okay, guys. Brisbane Borts, 440 swap. Do we have to change the torsion bars? I think they are a little bit thicker with the big block, yeah. There we go. There's a 351 Cleveland, a better engine than a 351 Windsor. Man, that's I prefer the Windsor basically because it's smaller and just easier to work with, and yeah, it just seems the Cleveland seems bigger than it needs to be for my. But I mean, that's there's no absolute rights or wrongs. There's the engines, all engines, doesn't matter who made them and where they were made. They have the good points and bad points. You like what you like, and it's an endless argument which one's better. Ooh, Kiwi, deep orange peel and rust spots after painting 2 coats of single stage enamel first full paint job. What went wrong? Can it be saved or just start over? If you've got deep orange peel, it could be too thick going on, or you're not, or it could be. Oh, look at that! Yeah.
And look, here's even a UTG hat.
It's not how fast you go; it's how you go fast. There we go. Look at that, legendary.
There we go.
Oh, look at that.
We got them hooked up.
Now, yeah, orange peel. It can be to do with the way you've got the gun set up. The droplets of paint as they come out, need to be as fine as possible, kind of thing. Yeah, get yourself some panels, just something you don't care about, and just start laying it on and get a feel for how much paint you can get on there. What you really want to do is put a fairly thin coat on with that 2-stage, single stage enamel, and it acts like a gluing coat almost. You're not trying to get a good finish or even coverage, but you're trying to get a base for your top coat to stick to, and for that first coat to soak up some of the solvents to pull it in, and it lets it flow out. Look, there's a guy called Kevin Tates who does a video series on painting called Paintucation. Do a Google search on him. He is an exceptional teacher. He's got a series of DVDs that are really good and not that expensive. And he, his information there would get you there, fairly quickly. He's a very good teacher. He has a way about him of explaining it. He's way better at that than I am. And he's just a way better painter than I am. So I would say invest in a couple of those DVDs. Paintucation, like education, but Paintucation. Try that.
507 Jaybird. This is a good question. Tony, bought a 23T altered, alcohol-injected big block Chevy, looking to detune this beast till I learn to drive it. Any suggestions, pulleys, fuel system, timing, etc.? Thanks. Okay. So this is a common mistake what people will make once they get into that type of car, because you got two different types of cars. A suspended car, you can play around with power, right? You can take power away. A non-suspended car where the tires are the suspension, you don't want to take power away from it. If the car is built for the application, for the power that's being put to it, whatever it happens to be. So meaning that the distance that the engine is out from the rear end, the height of the engine in relation to the drivetrain, taking power away could actually make the car harder to drive. And I know that sounds crazy. It sounds backwards, right? But tube cars like that, non-suspended tube chassis cars like that, are designed to work with a certain power level, right? So you'll take power away from it, and then suddenly it'll wheelie like crazy. You won't be able to keep the front end down, right? Or it'll do all sorts of things. Keep the power range where the car was originally designed to be run. If it went straight for the previous owner and didn't have any handling issues for the previous owner, then you won't have those problems either. Your problem is all in your own head, right? You don't want to detune the car. What you want to do is resign yourself that when you're learning to drive this car, you are learning to drive the car, okay? So your first pass with the car, go to the tree. Seriously, I mean, you're like, I want to drive. Don't try to drive. Just get it to the tree, okay? Just get it to the tree. And after you've done that, get it to the 60-foot clock. And then after you've done that, try to go to the 300-foot. So take as much time as you need to become acclimated to the acceleration. Because after you've done it a few times, it'll feel like nothing. It'll feel like you're getting in a friggin' Toyota and just driving it down the drive-through at Dairy Queen. You have to get acclimated to it, and you will. Don't try to take power away. You can make problems for yourself that don't exist.
Yeah, see that? See, we got a stalker.
Oh, Maury, she wants you to put on the baseball cap.
She's been a smart ass.
Is she?
Yeah, well, I've got a big head, you see. So
you
put a baseball cap on, and it kind of perches up on top.
Oh, my God. Dude, your head is fucking enormous.
Yeah. Like you just undo it completely at the back, and like that's the best I can do.
Well, give that to Maury.
Yeah, okay. Sounds like a plan. Thank you, darling. Thank you for pointing out my big head to the entire audience. There's literally millions of people watch this broadcast, and now they all know. It's funny with welding helmets. Like people put on, they'll grab my welding helmet, and it just like drops. It just comes down, and they go, "What the hell?"
Diesel power, try getting acclimated to an 800 horsepower Cummins 6.7. Bro, you get acclimated to everything. No matter, I don't care how fast a freaking car is. It doesn't make any difference. After 3 or 4 runs with it, especially if you just ease into it, go a few hundred feet and then go a few hundred more feet, you get acclimated to everything. It all becomes easy.
Ari says it's a KIWI thing. Terrence has trouble finding hats as well. Man, crash helmets, that's a challenge. Getting a crash helmet that fits.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, that's a pain.
I have one that'll fit you. I bought a bunch of helmets. The guy was selling like a whole lot of helmets for like $50, so I just bought them. Huh. And I have one on the shelf inside.
It needs to be like an XXL.
Oh, dude, it's fucking it's like aliens could wear this thing, with the giant. So yeah,
cone head. KIWI, I have one for you. How do you protect new bodywork? I've heard primer, sealer, blah, blah, but sealer is just that. What does the guy actually need to get on the surface to stop moisture infusion? A really good coat of good quality epoxy primer. That's what I always do when we're back to bare metal. Epoxy primer. It sticks, and it's tough. It's waterproof. And yeah, that's what you need. And sometimes we'll even we'll epoxy it, put any fillers in we need on it, then we'll epoxy it again, and it seals it, seals the Bondo into its own little whirl, and then you put more primers on, and that way you don't get the solvents from the paint soaking through and into the Bondo that's in there. So yeah, that's the way.
Operation RV. Tony, what are your thoughts on timing when building a low boost of 6 pounds with twin T3, T4 turbos on a stock 351 Windsor motor? I read that I can use my stock Dizzy with no MSD BTM ignition system. Thoughts? It's 6 pounds of boost? Yeah, man, you won't have any problem with the stock stuff. Keep an eye, just keep an eye on the plugs and make sure that it's fat enough. That's the important thing. If the plugs look, well, read the plugs. If it looks lean, give it fuel. That's the important thing. But at 6 pounds, no, you don't have to worry about timing retard.
Especially if you're running an intercooler as well.
Yeah.
That's what I believe is one of the big. No, it's not even a secret. One of the key things with forced induction is keeping your intake charge temperature down. That's just free horsepower. If you can put a big enough intercooler in it, spray it with water, whatever you need to do to keep that intake charge down, that's how you make horsepower.
John M., is there any benefit from bypassing the mechanical fuel pump and using an electric pump with low PSI in a stock 351 Cleveland? You're eliminating the number one source of vapor lock, which is the mechanical fuel pump. So yeah, there's your benefit.
Yep, that is a benefit. Now somebody asked there, I scrolled up now, but if there's any future for Holden, strictly speaking, no. They're not making cars anymore. They are basically getting European spec models and badging them Holden. Yeah, so there's a little bit of. Holden sell cars, they sell Holdens, but they don't build them anymore, and that's just not going to change. Sadly, it was a great product.
Barry Cuda, can I use a 1966 904 torque flight behind a 1986 slant motor that had a 3-speed manual box on it? Okay, the 66 torque flight, the 66 engine has got a smaller, there's at the back of the crankshaft, there is a pocket that the torque converter fits into, and it doesn't matter. The engine could have originally been stick or automatic. It doesn't make any difference. But there's a pocket, and the 66 is a smaller diameter than 67 and later. So you're going to need a torque converter. You're going to need a 1960. You can use the transmission. That won't be a problem. But you need a torque converter from 1967 or later. Yeah. You okay with that? You look shocked.
I'm impressed. Like, it's just like.
Well, because this is what I do, bro.
That's what you do.
This is why I make the big bucks on YouTube.
The Mopar man.
Yes.
The Mopar man.
Pocket, pilot hole. No, the pilot hole is actually in the center of the pocket. So you've got the outer flange that the flywheel or the flex plate will bolt to, and you've got the register that centers that, and then inside of that you've got a pocket, and that's where the nub from the torque converter would fit into, and in the center of that you've got the pilot. So you've got all three different. You've got different levels of thing at the end of the crankshaft.
John M., do the New Zealand rising cars have to go through safety or emissions inspections? Are they strict? Yes, and yes, they have to do all that. And I'm not sure about the emissions in New Zealand. They as of a few years ago, they didn't really have emissions testing. The emissions testing consisted of whoever was doing the safety inspection. If it was blowing too much smoke, then they said that's too high emissions, you fail. They didn't actually have any machines to test them. That may have changed now. It's been a while since I've been, involved closely with what's going on. But I do know they're very strict on safety, like crazy strict on safety.
Cave Dave wants to know, if I had a girlfriend, would she be more impressed with my 444 barrel or a 346 pack in your Challenger? I know chicks, bro. I know chicks. I know how they work. I know what makes them tick, right? And neither of those is going to do the trick. You want to impress a girl? Bite through a can of soup. Okay? Just take a can of soup and just rip into it with your teeth and tear out a corner of it. That is what chicks want. They could care less whether you got a 440 or 346 pack or a 6. They don't care. They want to see you bite through cans. Yes? Isn't that how you got Maury?
No. It was no. I'm not going there.
All right. Okay.
I nearly did, but I didn't. So I thought better of it. Certification needed on everything. Yep, that's right. It is. Yeah, especially if it's modified. Man, they just put you through hoops if it's modified.
Let's see.
What were you driving when you first started dating your wives? All right. Well, I was driving a Subaru Legacy RSA.
Okay, so the way I met Uncle Kathy was I had a 440 Charger. It was a black primered 69 Charger, and I pulled into her parents' gas station, okay, to get gas.
Right.
And her mom came out, right, and was pumping my gas. This was back in the days when
People pumped the gas.
people pumped gas. Right. 1983 it was, through 1982. So her mom was pumping the gas, and then she went in the office. She came back out. She says, my daughter wants to know who has the car out there. So, and that's how I met Kathy. She wanted my car. She wanted her parents to buy my car. Her parents to buy my car from me.
It's cool. Good story.
Dr. Art. Dr. Art is in the house. The one and only Dr. Art. Hello and good evening, everyone. Tony and Kiwi, have you decided when you're going to race? Not yet. Not yet. But it'll be soon. It'll be after I get this thing done.
Yeah, Worthyland, you're from Dargaville. Cool, man. Thanks for joining us.
Tom, haha, that's true. I have a lovely green Datsun and I'm not getting the chicks. Yeah, bro, unreasonable acts of strength and, insanity really is what gets their attention. Doesn't matter what you drive.
Yeah, there is a theory on that attracting women as being that, like, the thickness of your wallet has quite a bearing on it.
Mm-hmm. Jason Fitch, Jason, you really pay attention to stuff. Was that the Charger that wound up hitting Kathy? Yes. She couldn't go anywhere near that car. That car would have the most unreasonable fits and breakdowns anytime she was near it. I could be driving around all day, all night. Everything was fine. The car was perfect. She'd get in that car and it would start flooding over carburetors. It would just make a mess. It was a disaster. That car literally hated her. Brett McIntyre, Uncle Kathy had to marry you to get the car. Now, I tell you what, man, see, in New York, all right, now I'm from Staten Island, okay, so everything is Italians and Jews where I come from, right? So everybody looks like me, all right? So on Staten Island, an actual blonde, a real blonde, especially like one with freckles, is like, oh, wow, you just don't find that. So yeah, it was like, bang, you're in, That was like a trophy in New York City. Ari says, my truck and my lady always feud. Zero says, if chicks like my car, it makes her down to earth. Rare find here in Southern California, for real. Carmelita Scarfoni. Joe's Garage, man.
Lord Burns, the parrot is dead. You have his feet nailed to the perch. Is that some sort of inside joke?
That's Monty Python, but I don't know why. I don't know where that came from.
No, Tarbo. If chicks like my car, I'd stay away. There's something very wrong with them. Probably some truth to that.
Shroud. See, now everybody wants to talk about chicks.
As long as they don't want relationship advice, will be fine.
Oh, I give relationship advice. Oh, okay. Jeez. Okay, Ron's not going to be here until next Thursday. Oh, okay.
He's been sniffing the Bondo too much.
He's at a memorial for his mother-in-law.
Well, fair enough.
In Michigan. Brett McIntyre, I think a collaborative build would be interesting. I think I want to stay friends with Kiwi. So I don't think we're going to collaborate on anything. Franco, does anyone still index spark plugs? There are such limited places where that actually makes a difference, you know? I mean, some people do, I'm sure, but it really depends on the engine. It depends on the engine, the combustion chamber. It depends on the combustion chamber.
Garth B1, how's Project Impossible coming? How's Project Impossible coming?
I'm still waiting to hear from Andy on what's going on with that. I don't know. The plain and simple answer to that question is I do not know.
David, what if I'm ugly? Then you need a bigger wallet, bud. It makes me much more handsome.
Okay. What if I'm ugly? David, what do you mean what if you're ugly? You're not ugly. Somebody thinks you're beautiful, bro.
Maybe his mother.
Okay, so just so you know, chicks don't see that. Chicks don't see that the same way that we do. We value everything as looks, everything, right? Okay, we look, all right? Chicks aren't like that. Chicks look for confidence. That's what we, all of the things that we visually like look at a girl and like, oh, wow, okay? Well, females they don't care about stuff like that. They care about confidence. As long as you're the bigger your confidence, the better looking you are to them. Tabo says his dog thinks he's beautiful. He's beautiful.
Yeah, well, that is the beauty of dogs. They worship you no matter what you look like.
What kind of dogs do you have?
I don't have any dogs.
Why?
Too busy. Too busy. Travel a bit too much.
Yeah, you do travel a lot. I would dog sit for you.
Yeah.
And I have a dog sitter. I got a great dog sitter.
Yeah.
Doris. She's
Doris,
amazing.
the dog sitter.
Yeah.
Right.
She's amazing.
Is that a code name or?
No, that's her real name. Doris.
Tony, did you see Steve Maggs gave you a mention in his recent?
I saw that. Yeah, somebody mentioned it to me, and I checked it out. Yeah. Uh-oh. Maury's saying no. I mean, just no, all caps. What are we saying no about, Maury?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I have to elaborate, darling.
John M says sense of humor, that's women like. Well, sense of humor indicates confidence.
True. No dogs.
She doesn't like dogs?
She does, but she doesn't want the... And I get it. I neither do I. They are a big responsibility.
All right.
We've just got rid of kids. So we're kind of empty nesters now, and it's like, should we go away this weekend? Yeah, why not? You know.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
It's not to say we won't ever have one, but right now,
no. Dominic Sergi, you have to show us Plan Z after the new owner back has it. Watch it on his channel, Slant Daily Garage. His name is Shane. Robert Hall says if you have kids, you need a dog. I just think you need a dog, period. But that's just me. That's just me. I would put my dogs ahead of everything. All this car stuff, the hell with it. My dogs come first.
What if your dog runs away? What does that say about my looks? Yeah, Bill.
So, Maury, am I right about the confidence versus looks as a, when it comes to females being attracted?
I can
tell you
what that answer will be, but yeah, we'll see.
Dogs prepare you for kids, cats prepare you for teenagers.
Probably some truth to that. Zero's promoting me. Good man. Thank you.
Yes. You have to subscribe to KIWIs. I mean, just listen to me, right? Listen to me. I'm pointing right at you. You have to go subscribe to KIWIs channel.
That'd be good. Here we go, Mars.
Yes, Tony. See?
Yeah.
See? Do I know what I'm talking about or what?
Yeah, and what else did she say?
Oh, Jesus.
And a very large bulge in the pants.
In the back pocket.
Yeah.
Well, the two go hand in hand. You see? If you have a lot of loot in your pocket,
You're confident.
you're confident,
Yeah.
right? You're in control. That's the whole point. See, you're in control. You know, the thing is, you could take man out of the Stone Age, but you can't take the Stone Age out of man. It just that's how that works.
All the answers and more at Kiwi Classics and Custom. Thanks, Sarah.
Beyond answers. I mean, beyond answers is what you're gonna find.
Oh, best way to remove 40-year-old sticky left from an emblem. Wax and grease remover and patience. You just gotta slowly dissolve it. If you use anything too aggressive, you'll hurt the paint. There are strip wheels you can get that sometimes will work on that sort of thing, like the strip wheels they use for taking off decals and pinstripes and stuff like that. But it doesn't always work.
Go viral sub to you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think you should write him a nice letter, to tell you the truth.
A nice letter.
I would say
letter A, B.
If you sub to Kiwis now, he will write you a nice letter. An individualized nice letter. Not one of these like form things, you know what I mean? He just puts a little signature at the bottom. He's gonna write you a nice page or two. You know, so yeah, sub to Kiwi and get a personalized letter and a photo. A autographed photo of Kiwi.
Tavo, yes. I mean, it's hard to argue with that answer, but that an angle grinder will get rid of that sticky. Yes. Don't think that's the result he's looking for though. There we go. Would not date a woman that could not drive a manual shift car. Can Kathy drive a manual?
Sure.
Mary drives a manual.
Better than most men can. Yeah. I had Kathy power shifting when she was like 16.
Really? So
I'll tell you a quick story. We'll just get off the subject. So I'm teaching Kathy how to drive. I got her when she was 15. Okay.
You got
her. Yeah. Well, so I got her. So I was teaching her how to drive, and I was teaching her to drive on a 68 Roadrunner. It's 3-3 4-speed car. So she weighed like 95 pounds. She was like 5'2", 5'3", weighed like 95 pounds. And she could barely, and the car had a heavy clutch in it, right? So I got out of the car and I'm motioning her to drive it to me. You know what I mean? Motioning her to drive it to me.
Ooh.
Right? Because I didn't want to sit in the car. I wanted to be outside of the car, right? So,
but in front of it, I'm not sure that was a better option. Really,
tell her to come to me, right?
Right.
Come to me, right? So she puts it in. She's got it in gear. She comes off the clutch and the car goes stalls, right? Starts it up again. Tries it again. Car goes like 2 feet. Stalls, right? And now I'm starting to get like, come on, get with it. You know what I mean? So she got frustrated. So she shut it in neutral. And she went to put it in first, but she ended up putting in reverse.
No.
Okay. And because I kept telling her, bring the revs up, bring the revs up. She wings the engine, lets go of the clutch. The car jams itself into reverse, goes across the street, and backs into her old man's International Scout. And shortened the quarter panel by about a foot.
Oh, no. Oh, but you were top of the hit parade.
Yeah, it was one of those days.
Yeah.
Dada Burton finally showed up. What's happening, brother?
2 hacks have showed up.
2 hacks garages here.
Yeah. Did you ever build a Ford Pinto or a Merc Bobcat? No, I have not. I have one. It's a bit of a hot rod. No, mate, I haven't. I have not. They're not cars that were very common in New Zealand at all.
Mike Jones wants to know how much for an 8x10 autographed photo. He sends them free with the personalized letter when you subscribe to him.
I have to find an 8x10 photo of this.
You don't have any?
Yeah.
Why? Dude, you're an internet, people
internet
know
sensation.
You are becoming an internet sensation. You're slowly taking over the internet. One viewer at a time.
Yeah, I don't think Beyonce is too worried at this point.
Dude, let me tell you something. If you pick up, let's say, one new viewer, fan, follower every day,
Mhm.
okay, in less than 7,000 years, you'll have a huge
A
following.
huge following.
Huge.
Yeah. I won't have posted for a while, but
Uh, David Bird says, "I wear my new UTG shirt to Mo Party." Excellent. We're going to be there.
Now, eat more coleslaw. 90. Oh,
You keep doing
I
that.
keep doing it. 66. Stop with next GM pickup. What the heck does that mean? How much dollars for a body off complete resto and paint job? Ballpark. Look, I mean, it's not 10K. It depends a lot on how much body work is in there with the paint. That has a huge bearing in it. But your 30K, guess is a lot closer than 10. I'll be honest with you. Especially with trucks, pickup trucks. You've got to take the bed off to paint it. It becomes a lot of vehicle to paint. And when we do a paint job, we take everything off. We don't mask anything. Like everything comes
me.
apart. It's just a different product.
Well, this is, as I explained to Kiwi before, and a lot of guys were like, take the emblems off, take the door panels off, take all the stuff off. This is really a temporary paint job. This is going to last maybe 2-3 years. I'm looking for all new trim for the car, new emblems, new everything. So when I have all of this stuff to really doll this car out, then we'll scuff it. All of those parts are going to come off. We'll scuff it. We'll shoot it with a nice finished paint job that it's going to have, and it'll all go back together again. But taking all of this stuff off now is more work than it's worth, because it's got all of the clips that they're just brittle. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to put this stuff back on.
Jayhan, Kiwi, I like you even though you're a Ford man. That's a funny thing. People said to me, have you always been a Ford man? And the reason that I do a lot of Mustangs in the shop is that when I opened the doors, which was like 12 years ago, I rented a building, decided we're going to set up shop. And so you walk in on the Monday morning and it's like, okay, what do I do now? Like, you open roll up the doors and you're just waiting for something to happen.
Right.
There was nothing happening. So I thought, okay, well, I'll get a project car. So looking through Craigslist, I found like an $850 Mustang, which was, that was in my budget at that point. So I bought it and started working on it. And now I've kind of inadvertently become something of a Mustang shop. But honestly, I love them all. Like I love Mopars, and that's not blowing smoke up Tony's ass. I just do. I think I said the other week I love the old 59s. Saw a 59 Plymouth Fury.
Stuff.
What's that?
The forward look cars.
Yeah, I love those. There's a on Facebook Marketplace right now. There's a 59 Plymouth Fury, like 2-door hardtop.
Let's go get it tomorrow.
It's bad.
You got come on to these. That's nothing. That's nothing. That's nothing. Let's go get it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I need to get away from the shop.
But they're those are just gorgeous. So I love those. Some of the GM stuff is just fabulous. Like, yeah.
Right. Hemi Cuda. Hey, Tony, my 454, 30 over, the cylinders seem to be glazed. Can I give it a quick medium grit stone home real quick without having to buy new rings? I just want to clean the cylinders a little. Yeah, you can. You can. If it's honestly, if it's a cast ring engine, and I'm sure it is, right? But the kid go with a coarse stone, and just because the rings won't really know if they're new or not. Okay, just use a coarse stone, give it a quick hone, and just it'll run really hot for the first couple of minutes or so, but the rings will seat themselves back in, and it'll be fine. I wouldn't worry about it.
Tavo Garage, mate. We're all out of giraffes, and it's like about a 18-month pregnancy cycle for the giraffe, so it's going to be a while before they're back in stock.
Tell us everything you know about the mating characteristics of giraffes, because that's something I know nothing about.
It all happens at a high level.
Because I'm a know-it-all. but not when it comes to that. So
no, I'm lost there. I just.
Oh, I figured you knew.
Told. No.
Oh, it's what you've been. It's what you've heard. It's what you heard through the grapevine. Mexican Spec. Tony, I'm looking for a Cherokee like you have for a customer. What should I look for? Its faults. I just had this conversation with the kid at the 7-Eleven store, like on the way over here. I was getting coffee, and he was like, "He asked me at the XJ," and I said, "It is the perfect vehicle. It's the perfect vehicle." What do I look for? Okay, so I have 298s. Both of them are 4-liter. The red one that I drive every day is 2-wheel drive, and the black one is 4-wheel drive. The 2-wheel drive rides much better than the 4-wheel drive. It gets significantly better gas mileage. It handles better. It's lighter. Like the feel of it is lighter. It handles like a freaking sports car. And I like the 97 through 2001. Some people like the earlier ones. I like the 97 through 2001. As far as I'm concerned, and I say this without any pause or hesitation, the 97, the late XJ, is the greatest vehicle ever built. Right? Like automotive evolution should have just stopped at the XJ and everything would be fine with the world.
In the Cherokee, Tony looks for rod knock.
Oh, I love that thing. The rod knock is great. That's how it tells me it loves me.
It tells him a lot.
The Jeep is going to New York, though. He needs a 4x4.
Wide body kits for Ford Mustang are few and far between. Depends on the model Mustang. The late model stuff, there's a bunch of different wide body kits for them, but not the earlier ones so much. You can get one off Ring Brothers for 40,000.
Wheelie King is saying you might have a hard time believing why the 2-wheel drive handles better. Well, I'll tell you, I chalked it up to less rotational mass, because you've got the front axles and diff and all of, and the drive shaft always turning on the 4-wheel drive. So I just chalked it up to rotational mass. I mean, you can feel a significant difference, especially when they're cold. You get into the 2-wheel drive when it's cold, you pop it in gear and just drive it off, and it feels snappy and smooth. And the 4-wheel drive, you get in it, same engine, same everything, same year, and you get in that thing. And when it's cold, it's very sluggish until like all of the fluids start to loosen up in the front diff and the transfer case.
A lot of the handling too is the unsprung weight. You've got that whole differential like in the front there, which is heavy.
You got to take it out of 4-wheel drive. No, it doesn't. Whether it's in 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, it doesn't matter. The front diff is still turning. The drive shift is still turning. You're still churning oil in the transfer case.
If you've got freewheel hubs, it helps a bit.
Well, that doesn't have freewheel hubs. Yeah.
There.
Robert Hall, a tight engine is an angry engine. Well, the saying is, if you build an engine too loose, you'll know about it. If you build an engine too tight, everybody else will know about it.
Tony's Jeep is a knock-knock, but no joke.
Mike Jones, Tony, can you tell us a little about the 273 D Dart engine? Legend has it that it was as potent or more than a 340. No, I mean, no matter how, it's still a 273, and it still has the small port heads. It was a package. It was 10-to-1 compression. Had a Racer Brown cam, but I don't remember the spec. Had a was it an Offenhauser intake manifold or a Y-end? I think it was okay. It was a Y-end intake manifold. Came with a Holley carburetor. I think it was like 780 CFM, and it came with headers, but the headers weren't installed. The headers came in a trunk, and they actually ran through a Y pipe to a single exhaust, a big diameter single exhaust. But no, they weren't as potent as a 340. They ran really good for what they were, but they weren't as potent as a 340.
Tavo, the only thing the XJ Jag on. Was the Jeep and XJ.
Both of them are XJs.
Oh, okay. So that's probably what Tavo is referring to. The only thing the XJ lacks is a Hemi 6.
Randall Torrey, what mile per gallon do you get on the XJ? On the two-wheel drive, it hovers around 20, right? I'll get as much as 21, 22 on the road. Like a 65, 70 mile an hour flat cruise, it'll get 20, 21 miles to the gallon, 22 miles to the gallon. Just depends on the air, really. But it hovers right around 20. The four-wheel drive hovers around 16, 15, 16. There's a significant difference between the two and the four-wheel drive. And unless you drive the two of them back to back, you wouldn't know it. Eat more coleslaw. Uncle Tony, Kiwi. Vice Grip Garage video collaboration would be epic. On your radar, maybe, please. He does not like me. He absolutely does not like me. I don't see any collaborations happening.
McIntyre, how many miles per gallon do you get with the Audi? It depends how hard you are on it, but it gets like 23 on the highway. So, and anywhere from 4 to 16 around town, depending whether you're playing or not.
How did I slide? I didn't, bro. Let's see, the blue thing. Clayton Schoolbach, Tony, what do you think of the 1990s Grand Cherokee? They're cool. We were actually looking for one for a while, and then I says, nah, I'm just going to stick with the XJs. Maybe you can help this guy. Ant D, any tips on getting .5 out of a brake system?
.5. Well, all you can really do is just keep flushing. You know, put in whichever fluid you've chosen, and just keep pumping it through. And when you think you've got it all out, keep doing it a bit longer, because it takes a while. The stuff, it takes a while to get it out.
Get the bleed started, right? Open the bleed screws, all 4 of them, right? And then just hang out over the master cylinder. And as you see it get to the bottom, throw more brake fluid in, and just don't pump it, because if you pump it, you're going to be mixing stuff. So just let it gravity. I've done that. Recently, like an idiot, I wasn't paying any attention. I thought I grabbed a thing of brake fluid. It was actually transmission fluid, and right,
Ooh.
yeah. So it happens to everybody, right? So you're hurrying, you're rushing, you're not paying attention. So I did that, and the way you flush the impurities out, like I said, is just open all, pump it a little bit, right? Get some pressure in there. Open all 4 bleed screws. Leave the top of the master off, and just let that fluid drip out. And just when the master cylinder is almost empty, fill it with fresh. Let it do it again. Do that 2 or 3 times, right? From empty to like refreshed with full, and it'll flush out anything that isn't good.
Okay, Blaze.
Thank you for
thanks
the
for the super chat, man. That's awesome. 67 Mustang, putting a 530 horsepower engine. How much work do I have to do to the frame? A little bit, yeah. 67s didn't have a passenger side torque box, so that goes straight to the top of the list of what you've got to do. Is put that one on the passenger side. Some subframe connectors, a good idea. The other thing you can do is they make the seat bases on a regular 67. I'm guessing it's a Cooper or a Fastback. The seat bases on them are 2 individual ones, like left and right. On the convertibles, it's one piece. It goes up and over the tunnel, and it ties it in a lot with a lot more strength. And they're making them now that they will fit into a Cooper or Fastback, because normally they only made them a while ago. They only made them to fit because the convertibles had an inner rocker each side, so the seat base was narrower by about 6 inches overall. Now they've made the convertible seat base that is wider and reaches the coupe/fastback rockers and welds in.
Interesting.
And that's a big help. Subframe connectors, yeah. Not a fan of bolt-in subframe connectors. I don't think they're very effective. You really need weld-in subframe
Does
connectors.
Not like anything easy. Seriously, nothing easy. Don't ever take the shortcut or the easy way out
No.
or the more affordable thing.
The other thing, like we're doing this white 65 fastback at the moment, is with been nicknamed Casper, and I haven't put it in yet, but there's a convertible brace that goes across the back of the fuel tank, which ties the end of the rear rails together because they tend to be a little independent of each other, and there's only just some light, sheet metal between them, and there's a brace that they made for the convertibles, again, to fight that flexing that convertibles have. Anything that's in a convertible, if you can add it to your Cooper fastback, you're gaining a lot. So there's a brace that's about 4 feet wide, goes between the rails on the very back behind the fuel tank. That's a good little piece to put in. Now, if you subscribe and watch, you'll see me putting that in fairly soon.
Blaze Urarty sent the super chat. Thank you, Blaze.
Oh, it's a coupe. Okay. So he's got a coupe. Yeah. So yeah, good cars. Yeah, throw in that extra torque box, the seat base, some subframe connectors, and the piece that beefs off it behind beefs it up behind the fuel tank. Getting all dyslexic. Okay, DD Speed Shop was a power tour. I can't believe they didn't stop and see you on the way back to Canada. They didn't stop and see me either, but
the establishment got to them. The establishment got to them.
We're not butthurt though, are we, Tony?
Well, here's the funny thing, right? They stopped on the way back to the power tour, right? And they're going to pick up a car over at Vice Grips.
Right.
So they stopped to add trail lights to their Nomad. It was in the advanced parking lot, but around the block from my house. I drove past them. I'm like, well, they were avoiding me for whatever reason, right? But I didn't know it was. I'm driving down the road, right? I'm heading back up to the house. I'm like, look at the Nomad. Oh Jesus, it's DD Speed Shop. It's literally in the corner of my block. Yeah, the establishment got to them, bro.
Now, what's this? T56? Someone's talking about transmissions. Okay, I've missed a bit of that. Sorry, I've missed the questions about the Tremec. Most of the Tremec transmissions take ATF now. Yeah, that's Joe K saying that. Yeah, the T56, the TKX, the TKO 600s and 500s, they all took it. Yeah, you're right, Zach Kohler, you're right. Tremec T5 it does not take transmission fluid.
What, the T5? Takes ATF.
You sure?
Positive.
Or maybe it's the earlier ones that didn't.
Well, when I had my Mustang, I used to get 200 runs out of third gear. Right? Seriously, I got 200 runs out of third gear. So I replaced third gear probably 4 times during the course of the time I owned it, because I raced it constantly. It was like always at a drag strip for street racing. And I replaced the third gear and the cluster. Was it 4 times? Yeah, 4 times. And it was under warranty, but I didn't want anybody to touch it. It's my car. I'll do this myself.
Right.
So, but it was definitely full of ATF.
Okay.
That was the first automatic. That was the first manual transmission I had ever opened up that had automatic transmission fluid in it.
Data Labret on Tony. Last time I asked about parts availability for a 63 Dodge 330. I had a 63 Dodge 330 when I was about 18. Yeah. It was had the Poly 380 in it though.
Man, body and suspension parts. What year is an interchange suspension? Gas tank, body type, Polar, Ram Charger. So it's in the C-body family. So yeah, I would imagine any of the early C's up till I'm gonna say up until 68, 69, 68, up until 68. I think most of that stuff is going to interchange, but don't quote me on that. I'm not sure.
Someone asked me what's gone now. Someone asked me a question about how much I know about, and that was all I could see, and then it's gone. I remember that's it. Brett McIntyre. Kiwi, do you know how much a world-class T5 is good for horsepower and torque? They're around that three. I think they're a little conservative, but from memory, they're 350, like 350 horse. And a lot of that is also down to the type of tyres you have, how brutal you are on the transmission. Some guys can break a T56. And some guys will run a T5 behind, they'll run 450 horse for it and through it, and they survive. So a certain amount of it is, mechanical sympathy, but it's pretty good transmission. The T5, especially for the money, it's a very affordable option.
Dustin Williams, what's up, Tony? Remember me from the Valley? Yeah, Dustin, how are you, brother, man? How's everything going? I am still going to get together with you. There's things. Actually, I'll see you at the track. I'll talk to you at the track. What's on the? Well, UT, wouldn't the 330 be the same as the Savoy? No, the Savoy's a B body. The 330 was. Oh wait, yes. I'm thinking of the 880, which was like a C body. Yes, you're right. You're right. Sorry. Opinions on Doug headers. Do you have any opinions on Doug headers? Doug's headers?
Yeah, I mean, they're good. They're good quality. They've got nice thick flanges, and yeah, they're good. They're good.
I like them too.
Yeah. We agree. Yahoo.
Blaze, thank you for the super chat. Is Detroit Speed a good brand for subframe connectors and suspension on my 67?
Yes, it is. The subframe connectors they do are Welder. They're similar to the way I do the ones I make. I make them in house, and they have a similar idea. They go through the floor, so you've got a bit of floor cutting to do to put their subframe connectors in, but they weld in and they work. Their suspension is very good. Detroit Speed are quite proud of their product. It's not cheap.
Not cheap.
It's not cheap, but it is good, and that's your trade-off. And it depends a little bit what, like they do a good four-link system for the rear. It depends what you're going to do in the front. Are you going to go to a Mustang 2 type front suspension, with the double A arms? I think Detroit are doing. Seem to remember seeing where they're doing an aluminum cradle that goes in. That's a bolt-in to the early Mustangs. But yeah, that's a couple of bucks.
Okay. Jason Albanese. Why when I cover my carburetor boards with my hand to see idle is? You have a vacuum leak. Ta-da! I got to go back to this here. Because somebody just asked me about Aspen, my opinion on Aspens and Volaris.
Oh.
And I actually wanted to say that now. So it's come to my attention lately, right, that I do slight the F-body cars, which is a mistake on my part, right? And it's mostly because when I was coming up, they weren't we didn't really consider them to be workable. And this is going back to like the 70s and the 80s. They weren't in the thing. And that block kind of stuck with me all these years. So to me, it's still A, B, E, C body, with D occasionally, right? And the F bodies just don't register. But it's slighting those cars because they really are good cars and they make a great foundation to work with. And the best part about them, so if you're dealing with a traditional an AB or E body, headers are always a pain in the ass because of the torsion bars. The torsion bars are in the way. So doing anything on those cars, changing a starter or doing anything around the front end of the car is always a colossal pain because the headers wrap around everything. But on the F body cars, the Aspen's and Valaris, you've got the longitude, the cross torsion bars. They go up, forward, and they cross each other, and you have all of the space, just like a GM car. You got all of that space underneath there, where it just makes life so much easier to work with. So I do like those cars, and I don't. If you own one or you're thinking about one, and you say, "Oh, Uncle Tony doesn't like those cars," that couldn't be further from the truth. They just don't register in my head, but it's an outdated thing.
Okay, Blaze asking, saying that you're looking at a Detroit Speed coilover setup. For me, I wouldn't spend a lot of money upgrading the Mustang, the original Mustang style suspension. Because the Detroit Speed's coilovers are going to set you back a little bit. If it was me, I would go to something like the total cost involved or TCI front suspension, which is the double A arm with a rack and pinion in front of the axle. It really does improve the handling dramatically. You're just stepping up to a much moderner type of front suspension. The rack and pinion is a huge improvement. So yeah, I wouldn't throw a lot of money at upgrading a stock Mustang style suspension.
Dustin Williams, Mustang 2 or Vic suspension for the win?
Mustang 2.
Why?
Because like the kit comes made for that Mustang. The Crown Vic suspension, it will work in there, but it's too many compromises. It's not not made for a Mustang. And yeah, I mean it's not bad. It's an improvement, but for the win, the Mustang 2.
Okay, Jason Albanese, and this is the guy with the cups his carburetor and it smooths out. Okay, I have sprayed carb cleaner everywhere and the idle never spiked. Do you have a bad EGR valve? Take the EGR valve off, right? Now I'm assuming you have an EGR valve, because if you don't, then we're gonna have to look at someplace else. But your next place to look is gonna be the EGR valve. So take the EGR valve off. First, see if the gasket is blown between the two ports. Okay, so if the gasket is intact, then what you do is take some gasoline. Right, hold the EGR valve upside down. Take some gasoline, and you're going to see one of them is like it has like a plunger, and the other one is open. Just drip a little gasoline into the part with the plunger, and if the gas runs past it, there's your vacuum leak.
And someone asked about putting a AOD into, I think it was a Cougar. Someone was asking. That's instead of a FMX. That's a fairly easy swap. The AOD is a little bit of a dated transmission now. The early ones were cable operated, and if it's a cable operated kickdown, if that's the one that you're going to put in, the cable operated one has to be adjusted just right, or you will toast the transmission.
Okay, Jason Albanese keeps raising the ante on me. All right, so obviously it's not an EGR problem because it's a tunnel ram with dual dominators. Whoa, boy, you've gone to a whole nother place with that. Jeez. Okay, so with that one, I'm going to pass you on to Andy Wood, Unity Motorsports Garage, because tunnel rams and dominators is his total thing. He eats and sleeps those things. Contact Andy, Unity Motorsports Garage. Sometimes he usually pops on these lives. I haven't seen him tonight or the last couple of them. But Andy Wood, Unity Motorsports Garage, ask him that question about your dominators with the idle issue, and he will tell you exactly what's wrong with it and exactly what to do with it. I do know that there's a difference in the early and the late dominators having to do with the idle circuitry, but I don't know what it is. I do not know what it is. Fubar just put up a link to KIWI's amazing channel where I mean, bro, you just do such good stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's just next level.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. See, he's so modest. He's so modest. But if you do subscribe to him, he is sending autographed 8x10 glossy black and white photos of himself, and he'll write you a personal thank you letter. And it's not just one of them form letters, it's like, that and he just signs at the bottom of it. No, he hand writes a page or two for you personally to thank you for subbing to his channel. So do that now, and you got a lot of work to do. You got a lot of work to do. Jason, it's a drag motor, tunnel in with dual diameters, no vacuum lines or anything. Yeah, I'm telling you what to do, bro. Get a hold of Andy. That is Andy's, that is his specialty. Exactly what you have there, and he will tell you exactly what's wrong with it. Where at this point, I can only guess. Marissa Cohen wants to know, what do you think about Corvairs? I love Corvairs. I've always loved Corvairs. I've always been partial to Barracuda notchbacks, second generation Barracudas, the notchbacks, because they remind me of Corvairs. I've always loved Corvairs. I think it's one of the most beautiful cars that they ever built, General Motors ever built. You?
Yeah, I like the Corvairs too. They certainly got a raw deal from old Ralph Nader.
Oh, please.
Yeah, that was him grandstanding more than anything. Dusted Wolverine Garage, Kiwis, Crotch Critters, Chlamydia, and Charcoal.
Wow, is that really the name of your new?
That's the.
Is that a new thing that you're doing?
Subsidiary company.
Does Mari know about that?
No, don't tell Mari.
Okay, no.
Kiwi, do you have more cars than Tony? Probably not.
I don't. How many cars do you have?
Probably 7 or 8.
See, I'm too autistic to count them off the top of my head, but no, I definitely have more than that. I have like more than that here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't got time to work on the ones I've got. I really haven't. Someone was asking about the Barracuda. What's happening with the Barracuda? It's rusting away. That's what's happening to it.
But in a very nice way. In a way that only a Kiwi's car can rust.
I'm gonna get to it. I'll keep trying to slow down on the customer work and have some time for me. But again, Wheelie King, Kiwi, just wanted you to know you do make a diff. I shared one of your vids with my neighbor. He and his 15-year-old kid. Oh, you do make a difference. Okay, he and his 15-year-old kid just used your video as a guide to swap the larger radiator in the kid's Mustang. That's cool.
Isn't that good?
That's
right?
Good.
That's my favorite thing when you actually, somebody will say, yeah, I used your video and it fixed this problem or straightened it out. And there's something that's so satisfying about it.
It's very.
It's almost as if you did it yourself. You know that satisfaction you get about fixing the thing.
Yeah.
And then when you can guide somebody else to do it, and they're like, yeah, it worked. It's like, yes, it all came together. We all got something out of that.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks, Wheelie King.
Oh my God, it's after 9 o'clock already.
It is. Jesus rides a Honda road bike. Okay.
Let's see.
Ford in movies is always the hero's car. The villains drive Mopar.
It's true. And they always have Chargers. Bad guys are always driving Chargers.
Chris Cadman's got a Corvair water pump for sale.
How much? I like that. Jesus drove a Honda, but he never bragged about it, for he never spoke of his own accord.
No, that's good. That's fun. Your $8 guide to vapor lock I've used twice. What's your $8 guide to vapor lock?
The 3-nipple. Jesus Christ, the 3-nipple fuel filters. The one with the little 1/4-inch line that comes off. With the orifice in it.
Okay. Yep.
To route that back to the tank.
Return line.
Yeah.
Now, Eric Jacobs keeps popping up. I've just seen him. I just caught it again. 71 Buick 455. Could the intake be misinstalled so that the motor smokes a lot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And often how's a 2x4?
Yeah. So here's the thing, especially when dealing with older engines, you really have to make sure that nothing has been machined along the line. Like for instance, okay, let's just say that often has a manifold, and there's a good chance that you're the second, third, fifth, eighth person to have it. Okay, at some point that thing might have been fitted to an engine that had the decks cut or the heads cut, so that the manifold had to be reworked. And you won't realize it. It's a small amount. It's going to be like 15 thousandths or 20 thousandths off the surfaces, and you won't realize it when you put it together. But it'll do stuff exactly like that. It'll smoke. So yes, is a very good possibility that that's where you're sucking in oil.
Barracuda, the Crown Conversions V8 Corvair is appealing. Hey, here's something for you guys who are especially the Mopar aficionados out there.
I've been called worse than that by my family.
By your family.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about putting a Mustang 2 front suspension in that Barracuda. And I'm
I give up. Why would you do something like that?
Get it down lower. Like the stock suspension just doesn't get you down on the ground. Like the ride height, I like the ride height it's sitting at the moment, and it's on the bump stocks.
So why don't you notch the frame rail and raise the K-frame?
Raise the K-frame. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be easier than gutting the whole front of the car and sticking a Mustang 2 in it?
What about the pickup where the torsion bar attaches to the chassis?
It'll take enough of it.
That'll take that angle.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's an option. That's why I asked the question. It's my turn I needed to type it in here. Like the question.
You could drop
it. Could I put a Mustang 2 in my Barracuda?
You could literally drop it 3 inches. Drop the car 3 inches and keep the K-frame. Of course, now you're going to run into some hood clearance with the engine because the engine's mounted to the K.
Yeah.
But you're going to spook it anyway.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Because the Mustang 2 too, they make the drop spindles for it, so you get a free 2 inches there.
Yeah, but
they don't do drop spindles for that Mopar stuff, do they?
I know this is Pride Month, and I know that this is a flex on your part. I get it. All right. I'm not stupid. So,
Yeah, I was just trying to gauge the reaction. I was like, if people want to
I'm horrified.
Me, I might have to take a different route.
Oh,
maybe I'll just start calling it a double A-arm front suspension rather than Mustang 2. That might be more palatable for you, do you think?
Say that again now.
If instead of calling it a Mustang 2 front end, we call it a double A-arm.
No. If it doesn't have torsion bars, it's not a freaking Mopar.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the defining aspects of Mopar.
Mustang. Oh, see, Billy help. Oh, Mustang 2 front end weighs less. Less weight is good.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any difference to me. Pork Chop Express. Tony Steve Magnante was talking about an article you wrote back in the late '80s about the IROC Z. What's the story if you're doing burnouts and getting yelled at by the suits, bro? I can't tell you how many drag tests back then and road tests and whatnot. Every week I did one from one of the different magazines that was there. That was Cars Illustrated. I don't remember the details of it. I mean, you're talking about an article I wrote 40 years ago, like literally. I mean, 1987, 36 years ago. I don't remember the details, but that was I wrote that one.
Oh, Chris Cadman, that's it, game over, Kiwi. Oops, I've had a nerve. And so I was definitely going to do it. I said I was going to think about it.
It's Pride Month.
Tavo, drop spindles are a big thing down under for Mopar.
Well, you could do that too. You could put a drop spindle in it. And then keep all your geometry and everything, right?
Yeah. How much are they like Tavo? Are they like a 2-inch drop or... Hey, I did get your email the other day, but I just haven't had a chance to respond, unfortunately. But I will. But yeah, tell me more about these about the drop spindles. Is that an Aussie-made thing, or do they make them here?
I don't know, because I'm the exact opposite. I like them up high,
Right.
So I don't really look into that. But yeah, I know that they do make them. All right, but hey, it is now. Look at this.
9:17.
Yeah, we've been
18.
on for 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 37 seconds. And we only have 178 likes? How is that? You guys don't like Kiwi? Because I know when I do these by myself,
Not anymore.
I actually get more likes than I do viewers. Go figure. And now look at that, only
Yeah.
178 likes.
Yeah,
That's you can make Kiwi feel bad. Kiwi feel bad. You don't want.
so
You
they've
don't
gone
want
off me now that I mentioned Ford and Mopar in the same sentence. Right.
well,
It's like-
again,
like
I know it's
an interracial connection.
it's a Pride Month flex. I get it, bro. You don't have to say anything more than that. I get it. I listen. I am not going to judge you. I don't judge people by their, their or various orientations. You know what I'm saying?
2-inch drop A body, 1,500 Australian dollars a pair.
Oh,
Good
jeez.
grief, that's expensive.
That's all. Hey, well, you know what? You want a low rider? Well, there you go.
Chris Freemasser, 178 likes for Kiwi.
Oh, that's cold. That's cold, Chris. That's cold. All right. And Fubar just put up a link to our merch. Thank you, Fubar. All right. Yes, Unity Motorsports Garage is the guy with the mixed up boss. Yes. And yes, he is. If you got tunnel rams and dominators and stuff, he is the guy to talk to about that. So, I think it's time to stop this now, Kiwi. I think it's over.
Yeah, I've just rocked your world, haven't I, with that Mustang?
I'm a little blown away.
Yeah.
I can't believe somebody I know would actually consider something like that. It hurts. What are you gonna do? All right. So, guys, once again, all our amazing mods, Ari, Fubar, Zero.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
You guys are awesome. Subscribe to Kiwis. Subscribe to Kiwis.
Chlamydia, something.
Chlamydia and charcoal or whatever it was. And again, if you subscribe this week, you get an 8x10 black and white glossy print photo of Kiwi, signed, of course, and a handwritten, personalized thank you letter. Not a form letter, not something he just signs the bottom of it. No, he will make a personalized thank you letter, a couple of pages, directly to you. So make sure that if you subscribe to him, you send him his address and everything, and he takes care of the stamps and everything. Like he's like that. Everybody contributed.
What the hell is in those roll your owns that you're rolling? Like, seriously,
dude, it's head trauma. It happened in the fuel altered. I was always a little screwed up, but I had tire shake. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then that
rattled
roll cage right there. Yeah. So
I thought it was a Kathy and you were the fry pan.
Nah, nothing can hurt me after. Yeah.
Oh,
all right. Secret decoder ring? No, not yet. Not yet. He's working on that. So everybody contributed with super chat. Thank you so much, guys. It's greatly appreciated. It's always appreciated, never expected. Thank you. And everybody contributed with just your presence and your conversation. Thank you equally. We love you guys, and Yep. Do you love them?
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's a good night.
Tell them you love them.
I love you guys.
Hey, he means that. He means that, right? I'm starting to tear up, right? and like I don't really have things like feelings, but I'm actually starting to tear up. So. Guys, thank you very much. We'll be live on Sunday night for our usual Sunday Night Live. I'll be live Sunday night for our usual Sunday Night Live. I'm delirious. All of the sanding has gotten to me.
I might have to sneak into that one of these days at Sunday Night Live and pose as someone else.
You could? Yeah, do that.
A bit.
Yeah, screw me up, man. Just all right. So that's it, guys. I'm out of here. I'm going to pull the plug. I hit this button. It says end stream, and I have to hit it again. Right? Your stream will stop immediately, and you will no longer be live. Are you ready?
I'm ready.